I was at a chamber meeting, and they brought up the fact that Dawson didn't have anything that we could have as a, so everybody would know, like the ball of twine or the lutefisk or the other towns had. My sister and I went to a shopping trip on a long drive, and so I was telling her this, and so she got to thinking for a while, and she said, you know, she was a librarian here in town, and she said, you know, I've just run across things about the gnome, and she said, I just want you to know every country has them. The Germans have the kobolds, the Norwegians have the nissen, some other countries have leprechauns and, you know, different ones. And she said, I think we should be Gnometown and have gnomes. Oh, okay.
So I don't remember the exact date, but it's some like 30 years ago. And there's a gentleman in town who was an artist. I'm not an artist, I'm a fabricator. We were both out here in the shop making a gnome. I was making one for fun, and he was making one for Riverfest. And that was Governor Christensen, I believe. He carved a couple gnomes, and then he continued on to carve the annual gnomes until we realized we couldn't have them in the park because the wood would deteriorate sitting outside. So then he switched to making them out of concrete. And if you want to see the original gnomes, they're upstairs in the library. Those are the wooden ones that are the beginning of that tradition.
I became involved with the gnomes at a chamber meeting. Well, I knew a little bit ahead of time because Ruth Solem had told me about the idea. But when she presented the idea to the chamber, I was like, yes, I want to be part of that. This is going to be fun. This is a good idea to have the gnomes be our representation of our town.
So this is how it migrates from bottom to top. Over the years, over the past probably 20 years, I suppose, I made the 20 gnomes for Riverfest, plus a few others for fun or for the kids or whatever. Yeah. My favorite part, the part I enjoy the most about making the gnomes, is when I get it crafted to the what I think and I'm satisfied with, and is getting it coated, and then figuring out what the colors are going to be, and then the final touch-up. Just getting it done and having it accomplished is the best part. Unusual about these is the trolls have 4 toes. And some of the trolls have a tail. I'm not going to put a tail on it. It's more enjoyable to try to do something unusual than it is to try to make it exacting so it looks like somebody. That's about all I know so far.
I just think they're fun. Everyone's different because our music director, he has a wand in his hand. We have ones that are husband and wife that worked at the elevator. And they have, it's like with grain and everything, and we have our basketball coach and his wife, who was the teacher. When we were in high school, he was very instrumental in teaching and in being a basketball coach. AGP has one out there, one with the beans on, you know, because that's important in town. The firefighters, we have one for the firefighters. And the last one was Charlie Prestold. He's been real instrumental and get a lot of business in town. He was our last year's one. My sister wrote the legend, how the gnomes happened to settle in Dawson. They came and they wanted something, so they had a little meeting, all the little gnomes. And everybody has a legend, so they all have a legend. But the first one, my sister wrote this, how they came to Dawson.
They had to decide if they should band together and move across the sea, or if they should simply be no more. The crowd stood in hushed silence as old Torvig, with his brown face wrinkled as a walnut and his pointed hat that was sliding slightly over one eyebrow, came out of the council room to make an announcement. Whether leprechaun or kobold, pixie or nixes, we will now be called gnomes. We will cross the sea to a place called Minnesota. There we will go to a peaceful city called Dawson. When we get there, we will show them we are neat, helpful, and bring a smile to their faces. To those who have said in years past that we are mischievous, dangerous, and have no heart, we will show we have a heart. We will wear it on our sleeves for all to see, and Dawson will be Gnometown, Minnesota. What adventures will they have as they live happily ever after? That's another story.
We had each family that of the honoree would write their own legend. One year we honored a couple that didn't have children. And I said, okay, I'm gonna write this for them because they don't have anybody to do it. And I enjoy doing it so much that I've been writing them ever since. And I do have the concept that they're little people and they slide down the hill on walnut shells. And it's been fun. You can really use your imagination when you write a legend about a gnome. Each year we honor somebody. This year it's Dennis and Ruby Anderson. We have a big ceremony. And our artist, Loren, fabricated this year, in this case, 2 gnomes.
All right, there's Ruby and Dennis in gnome form.
In the beginning of this, there was objection. Oh, they're ugly. The gnomes are ugly. They're satanic. We had one lady say they were satanic. We had to bring a minister in and say, they're okay. It's just like Santa Claus. They're just fantasy. So we had that struggle at the very beginning. And what it's done for Dawson, it's gotten us a lot of attention.
Every once in a while we're driving around and I see the gnome here and a gnome there and like this sign that I just saw that's got a gnome on it. I said to Harold, my husband, I can't believe it's happened and gone this so well accepted from everybody.
Postcards is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota. Additional support provided by Margaret A. Cargill Philanthropies, Mark and Margaret Yakel-Julien on behalf of Shalom Hill Farms, a retreat and conference center in a prairie setting near Windham, Minnesota. On the web at shalomhillfarm.org. Alexandria, Minnesota, a year-round destination with hundreds of lakes, trails, and attractions for memorable vacations and events. More information at explorealex.com. The Lake Region Arts Council's Arts Calendar, an arts and cultural heritage funded digital calendar showcasing upcoming art events and opportunities for artists in West Central Minnesota. On the web at lrac4calendar.org. Playing today's new music plus your favorite hits, 96.7 Cram. Online at 967cram.com.